These are just some of the symptoms that can surface when we're overcome with anxiety. Look at the wide range of them. In fact, anxiety-related symptoms are the reason for 7 out of 10 visits to the doctor. And we've got Lori on the phone from Bremerton. And Lori, I understand you may be suffering some of these symptoms. Is that true?
Yes.
Well,
I'm not sure. That's what I wanted to ask.
Okay, what are you going through?
It's like I could be at home or when I'm driving. I have pain all the way down my arm, up my neck, on my left side. And it's like 1,000 pounds, and then it goes numb. I can't sleep at night. My friends ask me to go out. I have 4 kids. I never go out. The only place I'm comfortable at is my house. It's like I want to go out, but then I don't. And I just sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy, if that sounds right. I just get really angry. I don't know how to explain it.
What do you think?
Well, she's catastrophizing. She is truly believing that I don't have what it takes to deal with this situation. And when we do that, we become very, very anxious.
But even the numbness, the pain in the arm, neck aches, back aches, that's all anxiety?
No matter what physical symptoms we have, it's our body's way of tapping us on the shoulder and saying, listen. The problem is, as firstborns, lastborns, and the good kids, we end up listening to everybody else, and we don't learn how to listen to self. It's our body's desperate attempt to communicate with us.
Annie, you're relating to all of this.
Yes, I am.
You're relating to this in the way that you have the same pains, the numbness?
See, the thing that I'm picking out from what Rex is saying is that when I believe that I can't handle a situation is when I can't. And if I can learn to be able to believe more in myself or learn different steps that I can handle at a time, then I'm going to do better in the long run. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So shame, did you have shame? You're saying a lot of this is shame from being, as a child, you're the first kid, the baby, like Annie was.
Yeah, that's not always the case, but that's typically the case. And all of us suffer with shame. Every one of us that walks suffers with some shame. But people who suffer with anxiety and depression tend to have more than their fair share of it.
So how does having shame as a child make it so that Tony feels claustrophobic and doesn't want to wear tight clothes?
When we're shamed, it can come in a lot of different forms. We can have poor modeling in our family, poor social skills modeling, or circular fighting, or our parents maybe kind of live in a sense of shame. We can have be verbally criticized or compared to other people. We can be abandoned, or we go through neglect or abuse. All of those kinds of things in life leave a child feeling disempowered, inadequate, and unprepared, so that in specific situations later in life, they look at a situation and they think, I don't have what it takes to deal with this.
I want to go to Judy in our audience, because Judy, you've had some of this stuff happen to you, haven't you? And it not too long ago, from what I understand?
Well, I had a work-related injury 2 years ago, and I really don't consider myself an anxious person. But because of being in constant pain for the last 2 years, and knowing that stairs aggravate it, when I'm at the foot of a flight of stairs, it looks to me like Mount Everest. I think if I go up that flight of stairs, it's going to hurt.
And there's the thought. It's anticipation. Every bit of our anxiety has to do with when we're futurizing or we're back in our history. What are we not doing? We're not staying in the moment.
Okay, so that's one thing. But now how do we get her to go up the stairs without being afraid? How do we get Kristen to go in the car without being afraid? How do we get Annie to get out of her house? How do we get my stepdad to get on a plane and fly here? What do we do?
Well, certainly we're not going to get it settled today.
But you can give us a little.
We can certainly give us some ideas, yeah. We need to learn to stay in our moment. We need to learn to calm ourselves. We need to, and then sometimes with a therapist you can do what's called in vivo work, doing it in the moment, going out to the mall with them, going up those stairs with you, and encouraging you to stay in your moment as you're there. Because as soon as we think we're going to have problems, guess what? We do. Our body does not know the difference between real and imagined danger. And if we're obsessing, if we're already out there in the future with these terrible, horrible thoughts, we're going to move right into that. What we need to do instead is to learn to think differently.
Okay, and when we come back, you're going to be able to overcome your anxiety, we hope. And Rick says there are some essential elements you need to recover, and we'll talk about those right after this. Just reading in Rex Briggs' book about what's sort of normal and what's not when it comes to anxiety. When you are called into your boss's office, do you assume you've done something wrong? Well, that's not too far-fetched. A lot of people do that. But if you start to call in sick when you're scheduled to do presentations, you're starting to cross over, right? Or if you're in school and you're concerned about starting college, that's normal. The fears are normal there. But when does it seem like it's out of control when it comes to that?
Well, healthy anxiety leaves us feeling challenged, it leaves us feeling stimulated, it leaves us feeling alive. But anything that starts, where we start to believe that we're not capable, is excessive anxiety.
So you don't even go to college or you drop out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That is unnecessary.
I want to go to Cindy on the phone in Renton with a question. Hi, Cindy.
Hi. My question is, I take medication for anxiety attacks, and I want to know what I can do to get myself through something without panicking all the time and relying on medications.
So you want to be off the drugs, and what do you do?
Exactly.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you for asking that. Medications, I'm glad they're there, because sometimes our bodies are not functioning properly. Sometimes we get almost paralyzed by our depression or our anxiety, and medication can be helpful in kind of lubing our system so that we can function better. But we still need to learn to use skills so that ultimately we can deal with life differently. They did an interesting research with people with medications, and when they are dealt with entirely with medications, 1 year after they got off medications, 80% of the time they relapse. For people that were given specific skills, then their relapse rate was down around 20%.
Well, that brings us to a question you had, Kristen, right? About what to do?
Yeah, exactly. Like when I can feel it coming on, I'd like to know exactly what I should think of. What do you recommend that I think of?
Yeah, we want a skill, not a drug. What do we do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a slow process. You don't learn it at that moment in time. The worst time to try and learn or apply things is when we're terribly scared. It's at times we need to learn to break things down into small steps. I was just talking with her about it at the break. And when we learn things in small steps, our competence increases. People that start meeting with me, their safety comes from avoiding things. And what I want to teach people is how to develop a different sense of safety that comes from developing competence.
Okay, so I need specifics, though. I want to, okay, I can think of meditation. Would that be, but you don't want to be meditating while you're driving a car, because that's really probably not the best thing. So what should she do?
Reminding ourselves that all of our anxiety is when we're futurizing and we have to stay in the moment, taking a deep breath. Most people don't take deep breaths. They see this. That's a deep breath. That's not a deep breath. We have to take it from our stomach, and we have to learn to use imagery. We have to learn to change what's in our minds.
I understand that's why a lot of people smoke, too, because they want that deep breath, and they're getting it confused, thinking that they're getting that by inhaling, they're being able to relax. But that's not...
The process of smoking may be relaxing, but
think about the ramifications, right? Yeah. What are some of the other tools or the things that we need to overcome anxiety? What would you say?
Personal awareness, that's probably the most difficult one to teach people, because they truly believe that some of these things have come out of nowhere. We develop theories over a period of time. I work with people that have sometimes suffered with anxiety for 50 years, and they've got lots of theories about what has caused this. And it's usually none of those. They need to develop mindfulness about what really caused this. That's the work involved.
We've got Wendy, I believe she's on the phone with a question or comment. Wendy?
Yeah, I was just calling in to say I suffered from these for about 3 years now, and due to some therapy, like he's talking, and changing some of my habits, my eating habits, knocked off some caffeine there, which kept me revved up. I found great relief, and I really appreciate what you're doing for people out there, because a lot of people don't even realize they have it until they have the panic attack, let's say, on the freeway or in a place where they think they're losing their mind. So really thank you so much for doing this for all of us out there.
That's nice, Wendy. Thank you. So basically, there is hope. There are places to get help. Therapy a good place to start? Would you say they have to?
Well, for me, it made a huge difference, because we need to come out of hiding.
You're not just recommending that because you're a therapist.
No. The more isolated that we are, the more we begin to believe that we're chronically unique. And even in individual therapy, we tend to maybe feel more competent, but we're still convinced we're chronically unique. To meet with people in the context of others, talking with each other, that's a real very helpful way of getting help.
We're not alone. And
We're
thank
not
you
alone.
very much for letting us know that. Appreciate
Thank
it. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for speaking out. Appreciate it. We'll be right back with more. Rex Briggs' book, Overcoming Anxiety, Transcending Shame, is available online and at bookstores everywhere.